The snow had fallen thick and soft, matting the world in its gentle embrace. Manuela sat at her small wooden desk, her brush gliding across the canvas. Sleep had eluded her, as it often did on nights like these when her heart felt restless, and the quiet seemed to call her by name. The faint scent of cinnamon lingered in the room, warm and comforting, like an embrace she hadn't realized she needed. It came from the oil diffuser on the table beside her, a ritual she always performed on nights like these. It steadied her thoughts, grounding her even as her imagination soared. The rest of the house was quiet, everyone else long asleep, but Manuela couldn't stop. The painting had taken on a life of its own, shapes that swirled gracefully on the canvas, creating a dance of shades and textures. She started with no clear goal, letting her instincts take over, her hands acting like her invisible guide, pulling her into a scene she couldn't quite place but deeply felt. As she added the final stroke, a silvery shimmer of light cutting through the trees caught her eye. She paused. Something tugged at her, a quiet yet insistent pull. She looked towards the window, her breath catching. The full moon hung in the sky, its pale light spilling over the snow-covered yard. Setting the brush down, she stood and walked to the window. The scene outside mirrored her painting, the moonlight illuminating every tree, every drift of snow, in a way what felt impossibly perfect. The stillness of it all was overwhelming, like a pause in time itself. Manuela, wrapped in a white dress that felt like a soft plush cloud against her skin, slipped on her boots and stepped outside, as if enchanted by the cold and magical silent spell. The door creaked softly, and she closed it behind her. The cold never touched her. Instead, the air felt alive, humming with a quiet energy that sent shivers down her spine, not from the chill, but from something far deeper. The snow under her feet made the faintest crunching sound, almost as if it were singing in welcome. The moon's reflection on the snow was so brilliant, so breathtaking that her chest ached. It felt as though the world had transformed into a dreamscape, one where she was both observer and participant. She wandered into the yard, her dress swaying softly around her. The snow sparkled like crushed diamonds, each flake catching the moonlight in its own unique way. Above her, the sky stretched endlessly, its indigo vastness speckled with stars that seemed to pulse with quiet music. Then a thought came to mind, a thought that turned into a dare. She slipped out of her boots, letting her bare feet touch the cold, puffy surface. It felt cold and wet, yet no pain followed, like she was in a world of enchantment. Manuela felt tears gather in her eyes, and before she could stop them, they spilled over. The beauty of the night was too much, too profound to hold inside. She pressed her heart to her chest, feeling her heartbeat steadily, as though in time with the silent rhythm of the universe. The tears came freely now, tears of joy and wonder, of connection to something she couldn't name but felt it in every fiber of her being. She whispered softly, her voice barely audible. "It's perfect." And then she saw them. At first, it was just a faint glimmer near the edge of the trees, of movement so delicate she thought she might have imagined it. But as she wiped her tears and focused, the glimmers became shapes. Tiny figures with shimmering wings, glowing faintly like fireflies, flitted among the snow-covered branches. Fairies! Manuela stood frozen in awe, her hands trembling as she clasped them together. The fairies moved with an elegance that defied words, their wings leaving trails of frost in the air. Some danced in intricate patterns, their movements forming snowflakes that hovered for a moment before drifting to the ground. Others painted frost onto the branches, the ice spreading like lace under their touch. One fairy noticed her. It stopped mid-flight, turning its luminous gaze towards her. Its wings shimmered, catching the light like fragments of the night sky. Slowly, it floated closer, its presence both gentle and powerful. A mix of curiosity and kindness. Manuela felt no fear, only a sense of wonder so deep it brought fresh tears to her eyes. The fairy floated closer, its wings fluttering like whispers in the still night. Manuela held her breath as the tiny being stopped just before her, lifting one delicate hand. It traced a shape in the mid-air, a snowflake. The pattern glowed faintly, its edges sparkling, before it vanished into the stillness of the night, leaving Manuela with a sense of warmth despite the winter setting. The other fairies began to notice her, their work slowing as they turned their luminous gazes towards her. Manuela felt as though she was a part of their world, even if only for this brief moment. Tears welled in her eyes again, but this time she smiled. She didn't need words to understand what the fairy was telling her. It was a gift, this moment, this night, a reminder of the magic that existed just beyond the veil of the ordinary. Manuela closed her eyes, letting the moment envelop her. Sparkling snow, the soft hum of the fairies, the warmth of the night, it all felt like a dream, one she never wanted to wake from. They danced around her, their movements so graceful and fluid that it seemed they were weaving the air itself into magic, their lights twinkling like tiny stars. They moved in harmony, wings stirring the air with a faint hum that resonated deep in her chest. Manuela felt as though she were part of their dance, her heart beating in time with their movements, energies overflowing from within her like a beam of wondrous light. When she opened her eyes again, the fairies were returning to their tasks. One by one, they faded into the trees, their lights dimming until only the moon and the stars remained to light the night. Manuela bowed and smiled gracefully as a silent thank you. The remaining fairies bowed in return, continued this silent conversation of the heart, then, slowly but surely, began to fade. Manuela watched them go, her soul filled with a quiet peace. The yard felt empty without them, yet she knew their magic lingered, woven into the snow and moonlight. She stood there in the stillness a few moments more, bathing in the emotions that were embracing her, a moment she knew she would not experience twice. It was a gift, she uttered, a gift of a moment, a gift of the now, a gift of wonder. She smiled once more, grateful for such a unique experience, an experience she hoped to keep alive in her heart forever. As she walked back to her house, she paused at the door, glancing back at the yard one last time. The night still held its beauty, but now it felt like hers, like it had shared its secrets with her alone. Inside, she returned to the painting. It glowed faintly in the lantern light, a perfect mirror of what she had just experienced. Manuela smiled, running her fingers gently over the dried paint. With her painting as a keepsake, she'll always remember this night, the silent night that had shown her the magic hidden in the world. If these tales have brightened your day or inspired your journey, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe to keep the magic alive. For those who wish to support this creative endeavor further, you can scan the QR code or click the link below. Your kindness fuels these stories and helps bring my dream home to life. With gratitude and a heart full of wonder, I bid you farewell until our paths cross again. May the beauty of stories always guide your way.